They changed that in the 1960s because people kept lighting themselves on fire.
Hi, I'm George the Antique Nomad. Come with me as I wander the country in search of valuable vintage, amazing antiques, and cool collectibles. We'll buy, sell, and trade at antique malls, shops, and shows, estate sales, flea markets, thrift stores, anywhere people go to find really interesting things that just aren't made anymore. So come on, let's go!
Hello, welcome everybody. It's George the Antique Nomad, and welcome back. And I say welcome back because I'm back. I'm in Kentucky after my Florida season. I finally made it back up here, and I did a lot of shopping on my journey north, so I have show and tell for you. But first, I wanted to take a little bit of time because while I was gone, a bunch of you sent friend mail, and I'm way behind on that. And boy, some of you sent some really neat things. The most untimely now is this really cute Valentine that came from Kelly at Mossstone's Story Vintage. And I met her at the Petoskey show last year, and it was so nice of you to think of me for Valentine's Day. I think I had a show. I barely remember it coming or going, but I love that I get a kick out of you, Valentine, and thank you very much. I really got a kick out of this. I also got some things from Wendy and Billy, and they are up in Illinois. They sent me some stuff from their space, which was really nice. I especially like this little Zippo lighter, and it's just got a neat pattern to it. You've got the Zippo on the bottom there. They also sent me a flat 50s for Lucky Strikes. These were very popular in the 1940s. They sent a couple of pieces of costume jewelry, and the one that I think is really interesting is this stick pin with this carved shell. They carved it from the red down, so it gives you a neat little color spot in the middle of it. That's going to be from about 1920. That was so nice of you, and I really enjoyed your letter too. Nice pile of friend mail came from Lance Lanny, and he's got a great sense of humor in his collecting as well. And the card that came with it is this birthday wishes red hot. And he says, thank you for keeping me entertained. And I'm really glad that this is entertaining. It's sure fun for me. Lance has been a long-time collector. He knows a whole lot about a whole lot of stuff, including pop culture. But the things that he sent to me include this really cool booklet, Indians of America, complete, tribe by tribe. This is a keeper for me. This is from the Latin Quarter. And it says it's America's most exciting cabarets. And on the inside, it shows that it has continental entertainment, which is a nice way of saying toplessness. This is an older matchbook because you can see that we have the striker on the front here. And of course, they changed that in the 1960s because people kept lighting themselves on fire. So they decided that was a bad idea. So thank you, Lance. That was a fun box to open. The last box I got was from Debbie in Chicago. And Debbie was so generous. She sent 5 of these 1940s, 50s era decal glasses. The fronts are lovely ladies. The backs, well, sort of clad, so we can show you her. The other ones have even less clothing than this on, but they're very cute, very collectible, and I'm really excited about those. I think they'll be neat in my barware collection. Debbie also sent me some neat postcards, including scenes of the Chicago World's Fair, also from the World's Fair, which is almost too risque to show, but it's showing the improvements over 100 years. The Century of Progress was what the World's Fair was called. This one's cute. It pays to advertise. You see the 2 flappers there. They're very cute, and there were a bunch of other postcards as well. I love the postcards. This is a sterling watch band. The sterling parts are just these attachments here. They usually use just an inexpensive stretch band. These were popular in the 60s and 70s especially, and they're made in the Navajo Nation. The bands themselves are pretty collectible, so that's a really neat thing to get. I'm very pleased and surprised that came along. Nash, the old car company from the Chicago Sales Convention in 1941. Now this little pack here says Rolex, and I thought, oh, it couldn't possibly be a Rolex. I wouldn't know what to do. But it was instead this really cool folding pipe inside, and you turn the mouthpiece, and it opens up. So this is a little portable smoking pipe made of briar. This is from the 1970s. These were very popular to do then when coin collecting really took off in that era of inflation. And it's a really nice set. It shows every type of coin minted by the United States from 1900 to 1973. And that means there's some silver coins, so this was a very generous gift. I am very thankful. At some point I'll do a video about coins because I am a coin collector, and this will be a great way to help illustrate. So thank you again. I am really grateful to all of you who thought of me that way, and it made it really fun to come home. It was like Christmas delayed. So thanks all of you very much. Oh, and one other outfit I want to mention really quickly. They sent a mouse and a keyboard, so they're not so fun to look at on camera, but Cheap Finds Gold Mines. This is Corbin and Amy. They are a young couple, and they sent a very nice little note and said, by the time you receive this package, you'll have hit 12,000 subs. Congratulations. And they were right, and thank you. They are really good with sourcing video games, and they've got a YouTube channel. And with that, let's go to the haul, because I did get some really cool, fun stuff on the way here, and I'd like to show you. The first place I stopped was Micanopy. I did a video about that really sweet little town that's all full of antiques. And at the antique mall there, I got into a 75% off case, and what they mainly had was Murano glass. So I got this piece here with the Chinese hat. The bright orange is a great color. It has a 1960s diamond-shaped label from an Italian maker. Importantly, it has the pigtail in perfect shape. It's not broken at the end. That's the thing on this piece that often is. This was originally priced at $185. I got it for $40. Now the elephant is newer. It's got the oval Murano label that you see there, but it's got the nice two-color tone. And with the discount, it was $11.25. And this little piece was similarly priced. These are, again, probably 1980s with this label, but people love the gold fruit and vegetables. And this little guy here for $11.25 is probably worth about $40 to $45. So I was pretty happy with those buys. I am not sure which hotel or restaurant this would have come from. It's Lambert and Sterling China, made in USA. This is going to date, I believe, to the 1930s. It's got a great sailing ship, so this will be something for me to look into. Some of these can be really worth quite a bit of money, and when you see nautical designs, those tend to be among the better ones. Because I collect treasure craft and I like to buy and sell it, I didn't have any pieces like this to set up at shows next to my book, so now I have a wonderful leaf dish in the flame glaze. They did these glazes by applying it using ketchup bottles. They would squirt the glaze onto the base piece and then put it in the kiln and let it all melt together, and that's where these psychedelic patterns came from. I also just did a video that shows me shopping in a manor in Atlanta. A lot of people are afraid to shop at an expensive house like that because they figure everything's going to be priced really high, and it's true. There were several art pieces and furniture pieces that were in the thousands of dollars at that sale, but I still came out with a bag full of stuff. And I had fun with their costume jewelry because, again, they had some really expensive fine jewelry, and then they had all the costume jewelry priced at practically nothing. So I picked up this absolutely flawless 1970 vintage flower power pin in the two-tone. I picked this one up as well. I remember when I first started buying these and people said, "Oh, those are cheap and flimsy. No one's ever going to want them." And I said, they've got great color and great size, and they're very modern, and someone's going to love them. And now a lot of people do. And with that in mind, I'm playing my next hunch, and that is that these, if they're porcelain and better quality, I believe these 1980s little gals are going to become popular too, because it's the shape, it's feminine, they're interesting, they're three-dimensional. I think this one is pretty well done. So I figured that she might be appropriate for a new generation who are starting to collect. If you think about all those victims of fashion pins that are now worth over $100 from the 1940s, there was a time when people thought, oh, that's just junk jewelry, who cares about those? So you got to keep up with the past in order to see trends for the future. And then this little piece is a fob, and it has someone's initials on the bottom, but you can tell from the design that it was done in the 1910s. Let's see if I can get it to focus on it. There we go. And it's got the initials on the bottom. I'm not usually a fan of things that are engraved, but I thought this had a really nice look. I have a friend who runs a good jewelry store in St. Petersburg, Florida. She buys this sort of thing and makes other jewelry out of it. They had it marked gold filled. I'm sure they tested it to make sure it wasn't gold. If you see this sort of thing at an estate sale and they have a cheap price on it and they don't say gold filled, well, you might luck out and get something that's partially gold or a whole bunch of gold, and you might get a real sleeper. It's just neat to be able to go into a big fancy mansion and still find things to buy. I've found great things in trailer parks. I've found great things in mansions. You never know where the next great thing is coming from. This piece here I think is just really fun. This was out of that mansion too. They had several different pieces by Shearwater Pottery out of Mississippi, and this is one of them. This guy is the drinking pirate. He's having lots of fun. They have them reveling, playing musical instruments. They had a lot of Shearwater pottery. Shearwater was a good company out of Mississippi, and the fact that it was appearing in an Atlanta mansion tells you that it has some chops, and there are definitely collectors who will pay real money for this. I got this piece, which is also Shearwater. It has the mark on the bottom, which is filled in a little with the glaze. And two of these little espresso or child's mugs with the woodpecker. Shearwater's been around since the 1920s. They started doing molded ware in 1930. It was $10 for all 4 pieces. These sell for about $15 each, so that's a pretty good turn when you think of it that way. So I was very happy to get them. So speaking of the notion that you never know where the next great thing is coming from, I then went from this wonderful, clean, beautiful, pristine mansion to an estate sale in a couple of garages and a shed. A nice metal rule that was all of $2, and a couple of license plates that I think were $1.50 a piece, including the motorcycle. Motorcycle plates are harder to find. Motorcycle plates always sell for more, and people just like old license plates. Some people are doing repurposing with them. I've got a customer in Florida who's redoing a wall in her house because it's full of cracks and she doesn't want to do the lath and plaster over, so she's covering it all with license plates. But also at that estate, in the shed, were a couple of things that are far less than pristine. I have a friend who says, oh, I hate to shop anywhere that's dirty. And I said, well, you're missing out on some real deals then, and I'll show you some examples. This is a strawberry vase. This is made by Niloke out of Arkansas. Pretty filthy. It sat in that shed for a long time, but you know, a bad housekeeper is one of an antique's best friends because it means they didn't knock it over, they didn't clean to the point where they took something off of it. Here's a great example. This gal, a Joseph Figurine, look how dirty she is. Now, when you go to clean her, you've got a sticker there. So use a very lightly moistened cotton cloth and dab it. You do not want water to get behind rhinestones, whether it's jewelry or attached to a figurine. Rhinestones often are foil backed, and if water gets between the glass and the foil, it will turn the foil a different color and it will ruin the rhinestone. So you want to be careful how you clean these things. Check things carefully to make sure there aren't chips or cracks or glued spots, and I didn't see any on her. So as bad as she looks now, when I clean her up, my $2 investment will sell for around $15, and that's a pretty good percentage profit. If we could make that much on everything we bought, we would all be rich. For $2, yet again, was this big flying eagle. This one is stamped aluminum, and this is going to be something that likely hung over somebody's garage. These were very popular to put on garages in the 1960s and 70s as decoration. This one has been painted a rather acceptable color of light blue that I like. And the last one of these I sold, I think I got $25. This is why it's worth mucking around in a dirty place, because for under $10, I got something like $75 or $85 worth of value. And as a reseller, that's important because sometimes we have to step up for things, so you need some cheap stuff that you didn't pay a lot for to kind of balance it out. I had the good fortune to drop off a cypress knee lamp to Lynn, who is one of my viewers outside of Atlanta. She's a really great booster of the channel. We had a really good time, and she had just enough time that we got to spend about an hour shopping at the closest antique mall near to her, and we found some stuff in a pretty quick hurry. It was more of a picker mall, so a lot of it wasn't old, but the stuff that was old was priced really well. This Blanco twin spout decanter was $6.95. They've made these since the 1930s. This particular color would have been popular in the 1960s or 70s. It's in perfect shape. It's a $20 to $25 piece, so that was a great deal. I bought King Kamehameha because I like anything Hawaiian. It goes with the treasure craft. This was actually designed by Ray Murray, who had been the treasure craft of Hawaii designer, but he designed these for Coco Joe's after he left treasure craft of Hawaii right before his retirement, around 1970. You usually see these in black lava cast, but they started to do other materials that they would mix in to get the brown tones as well. And also in that store, I was very pleased to get a meerschaum pipe with nice carving, a good face, in good condition. It's been smoked in just a little. It's starting to have a little bit of that coloration that you get from smoking them. A lot of the collectors like that. They don't necessarily want them to be completely pristine. This one is well carved. I would say it dates to about the 1960s, but it's got good detail, and it was only $10, which is a real bargain. The last one like that I sold for over $30. So again, very pleased. It was a good stop. So the last place that I stopped on my trip back was Crane, Kentucky, which is somewhere about halfway between where I am and where Fatbird Finds are. And I have been meaning to get into that shop for a long time. They're nice folks. I run into them at the auctions around, and they kept saying, come visit my shop. There'll be a video coming up very soon that will show you my experience there. And actually, I had a great day picking things from a house and all sorts of fun adventures. So we'll show you that up close. But I wanted to show you a few things I got from that store because it really was a fun place. These pillowcases, this one says Sweetheart. There was also one to Mother, and maybe I should have bought that with Mother's Day coming up, but I find the Sweetheart ones do better. These were done in the 1940s, World War II, and beyond into the 50s. These were very popular to send home as souvenirs because they were lightweight and would fold up into an envelope, like so. And this one says, To My Sweetheart, 1944, from Italy. By 1944, the Allies were already in Italy, and so Italian companies were starting to make things for soldiers to send home, and this is one of them, and I just thought the colors were neat. You know, they only sell for about $10 or $12 typically, but I just thought this one was really cute with the heart. There's also this piece. I think this is a very nice, smooth piece of pottery. I like the variation in the glazes from the lavender to the blue-green. This is by Rumrill, and Rumrill didn't make their own pottery. They sourced from Shawnee and Red Wing, and I believe this is Red Wing looking at the glaze. I don't think Shawnee did a variation in the glaze like this at that time. It's not one I've had before. I find that Rumrill vases like this usually sell for about $25. Speaking of Red Wing, this picture is very fun. This is the Tampico pattern with a bottle of Chianti and watermelons, and it looks like you're having a picnic. It just looks like fun. This is something that people who like modernist china and dinnerware really enjoy because it's got that 50s modern swoopiness to it. It's got this really fun pattern on it. You can mix a lot of colors with it because it's got enough colors in it, and yet it's fairly neutral in and of itself. So it goes with a lot of decor, and that's part of why people like to collect it. And here's the Red Wing mark, and look how similar this is to the Rumrill mark you just saw. So that's what makes me feel that that other piece of Rumrill was a Red Wing piece as well. And that little piece was only $7.25. And I believe that they go for about $20 to $25. That would be a 1-quart milk pitcher. Then this piece is rather handsome and came from that store as well. And I was very excited to see this. This is Royal Dalton. And it has a date of 1927 on the bottom because it actually has the mark of the company they made it for to give away as a premium. it's interesting that by this time, this sort of ware was being given as premiums and being made and sold for that purpose, because this is much more like Royal Dalton ware from around the turn of the century. This is not typical of what Royal Dalton was making by the 1920s. And so this is unusual in that regard. I've never seen this piece before. It's got this really vibrant blue. It's a little worn because somebody did use it as a fruit bowl on the table. It's got the Royal Dalton mark here. You see pieces that look like this in Royal Dalton that go all the way back to the 1800s before they had the royal seal, and they were just known as Dalton. So this is an unusual piece, and I paid a little bit more because this is something I haven't seen before. I paid $30 for this. The last piece I had that was similar to this sold for $75, and I'm going to do a little research on this because I think there's something special about this one. A couple of fun kitchen pieces. The rooster with all the holes. Whenever you see anything with all these little holes, that means it was meant for toothpicks with little pieces of cheese or meat or hors d'oeuvres. And they would be used as a centerpiece on a table. This is going to date to about 1950. This guy with the stick that comes out is a pretzel holder, of all things. They just had something for everything on the table that was fun and cute in the 40s and 50s. People were so glad to be done with the war and moving on with their lives that people just loved whimsy. And it really shows, and people love this sort of thing now. It's great that he's a chef. There's a lot of people who collect chef as a motif. Both of those pieces cost somewhere around $5 to $6. And at a show or online, I would expect they would sell for $15 to $20 each. I think they're very cute, and I was glad to get them. Another thing I was really happy to get at that store, and I'll just hold it up in front of me so you can see the pattern, is this piece of crewel work. The colors are good. It doesn't have a lot of wear. There's no stains. The colors, to me, are evocative of late 1930s. And I thought this was just a dynamite piece for only $10. Now, I am buying for my spring shows, but I also do have to keep things stocked in Seattle. So it was pretty obvious to me when I saw this for $20 that I needed to get this. It's got these great shell eyes, these maybe abalone. This one does not have a maker name on it. Certain makers would be more desirable. It's a very lightweight wood. The polychrome is good. I believe that this would date to about the 1970s. It's not going to be old enough to have extreme high value like an early Alaskan Tlingit piece or something like that might. But I do believe this was carved by Native Americans. It's got a great look. It's got a lot of different subjects. The totems always tell a story, and I believe you read them from the bottom up. So if you know who the different figures are, this actually communicates something to the people who know Northwest ethnography. And you can look into the various meanings of these and get a sense for what the story behind them is. I just thought it was really great and such an inexpensive price. As a decorative piece, I expect that this will sell close to $100. And because I like to find things that have moved from their home to somewhere else, because you often find bargains, well, I found a stack of 4 of these Seattle World's Fair plates from 1962. They're dinner size. The nice thing about this particular one, and especially having 4, is you could use them as table service. They don't have any gold. They don't have anything that's going to make them not dishwashable. And so someone would maybe just use it as a display piece, but if you wanted to surprise your friends, well, you could serve them on this. And I got these for $8.75 after the discount, which is really inexpensive, especially for 4 of them. So very happy about that purchase. I'm going to send them on to Seattle ahead of me. I will eventually get back there and be doing some other business there and filming there at the end of April. So you'll get to see all of that then. And then the piece de resistance. Now, I stepped up for this. I paid $50. It's the kind of thing that you have to pay for these days because everybody is into these, but she sells for $120, so it was worth it. It's one of these oil drip lamps. This one was made to sit on its base. It does have the hook, so you could put lamp chain on, which I also got some of that from Lance, and thank you, Lance. I may apply it to this. and you could hang this as a swag, but this one's made to be done both ways, which is convenient because a lot of people who like these don't necessarily have a place to hang them. And she was a little different because she didn't have the green foliage, she has that rust-colored fall stuff. So that is the bounty that I can show you now from the trip north. I will have a level 2 member haul, which will show some of the finer things that I got as well, because we do a bonus video every month where the level 2 members get to see it first, and they get to see the things list on eBay as we show them. So if you're not a level 2 member, click that join button or click the link to memberships in the description, and you can find out what that entails and see if that's of interest to you. Please do like and hit the thumbs up for this video. Please subscribe if you haven't. Share with your friends. We're always grateful to have more people join our antique and vintage community. Meanwhile, I'm George the Antique Nomad. It's great to be back. It's great to be with you, and I look forward to seeing you at shows and events in the Midwest and on to the West Coast eventually, and we'll see you all soon, one way or another, here on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, or in the real world of antiques and collecting. Thank you very much, and take care.
Thanks for joining me again in the fun and fascinating antique community, here where online meets the real world. Please click the subscribe button below, click the bell to be notified when new videos upload, leave a comment below, and hit thumbs up to like this video. Links to our online social media daily posts and our items for sale are in the description. This is George at the Antique Nomad. Bye for now.